Okay, that right there is the Palace of Versailles, and I have just arrived in the spring of 1789. Wow, I genuinely don't have words, and that basically never happens to me. This whole place is completely ridiculously unreal. Here's the thing though, every single person you're about to meet today, the courtiers, the servants, the king and queen themselves, is only weeks away from losing absolutely everything. This whole world is about to come crashing down, and not one of them knows it yet. For this video, I turned real paintings and engravings of Versailles into photorealistic worlds. So this is about as close to the real thing as we can get. The plan is simple. Get inside, walk the Hall of Mirrors, eat what the court eats, and get a word with Marie Antoinette herself. And straight away, first problem, the gates are solid gold, like actual literal gold. I am not being dramatic. There are guards absolutely everywhere too, which makes sense because half of France would love to get inside here and the other half would love to tear it all down. Outfit check, by the way. I borrowed this off a lady in wearing and honestly, it is giving doomed aristocrat and I am so into it. This thing weighs about as much as I do. How these women walked, sat and breathed in it all day, I will genuinely never understand. I'm also fairly sure they already know I'm not from here because I keep curtsying at completely the wrong people. A man in heels just looked at me like I had personally insulted his entire noble bloodlystem. And yes, you heard that right. Heels. Quick confession, I keep getting it wrong. I just tried to high-five a passing duke. He recoiled like I'd drawn a sword. Back home, that's a friendly hello. Here, apparently, it's a declaration of war.
You are doing everything wrong.
Reader, I know. The men wore heels here, and the higher your shoe, the higher your status. Louis XIV started the whole trend. Truly, nobody was beating the rich people are a little bit weird allegations in 1789. Anyway, let me show you the room this entire palace is famous for. This is the Hall of Mirrors, 357 of them, all down a single corridor. Back then, mirrors were so expensive that this one hallway cost a fortune most people could never earn in 10 lifetimes. The whole point was to walk in and feel tiny. Mission accomplished.
There's even a whole menagerie out here. Exotic animals shipped in from across the world just so the court could stroll past and admire them. And a heated building, the Orantari, kept warm all winter purely to grow orange trees. Everything here exists to say one thing. We can afford anything.
And a normal day here was relentless. There were fixed times for mass, for meals, for simply being seen. The king's schedule was so rigid you could set a watch by it. It looks like paradise, but it was really a gilded cage, and everyone inside it was performing. Constantly. Okay, myth bust, because I know exactly what you're thinking. Let them eat cake. Marie Antoinette never actually said it. There is no record of it anywhere. The quote existed before she even arrived in France, and it got pinned on her simply because she was the easiest person to hate. Myth number 2, and this one is so much worse. We picture Versailles as spotless and perfumed. It absolutely was not. With thousands of people and almost no real toilets, the most glamorous palace in Europe smelled so bad that wearing perfume here was basically a survival skill. Myth 3 is the hair. Those towering powdered styles could reach a full ith tall, built over wire frames and sometimes decorated with little ships and actual bird cages. I am not joking. And the dresses got so wide that women had to turn sideways just to fit through the doorways. And those little black dots on everyone's faces, they are called mouches, beauty patches. And where you wore one actually sent a message. One near the mouth meant flirtatious, one near the eye meant passionate. It was basically an entire secret language made out of tiny stickers. Okay, you are genuinely not going to believe this one. This is the Queen getting dressed in public with an audience. It's called the levee. And every single morning, dozens of nobles would file in just to watch the royal family wake up, wash, and get fully dressed. And the right to hand the Queen her shirt was so prestigious that people fought over it. I just watched a woman get handed one gloves by the third-ranking lady because the first two weren't important enough. Even the King's dinner was public. People lined up just to watch him eat. And sitting down was political. Only certain duchesses were allowed a little stool called a tabouelle in the Queen's presence. Women schemed for years over the right to simply sit. Everyone else just stood. For hours, in shoes that were, as we established, actively trying to kill them. Right, I am starving, so let's see what royalty actually eats. There's a fricassee, a full pastry tower, candied fruit in about 9 colours, and is that an entire roasted bird covered head to toe in gold leaf?
They ate the gold. These people were literally eating money for dinner.
Let me try this pastry. Okay, that is unfairly good. Buttery, rich, and slightly obscene, and I understand the whole thing now. If I ate this every single day, I would also completely lose touch with reality. Genuinely, no notes. Somebody please send help.
Okay, second tasting, and I have questions. This one is some kind of gelid thing. It tastes like a scented candle that gave up halfway. A passing chef saw my face and just said,
It is an acquired taste.
"Sir, acquired by whom? Acquired when? Because it is not landing for me today."
Quick question. Is it always like this much? All of it?
This is a quiet day.
A quiet day. There are 40 separate dishes on this one table on what this man genuinely calls a quiet day.
Okay, I befriended this quarter and she knows everything. Who's in, who's out, who is secretly drowning in debt. Be honest, is everyone here actually happy?
We are at court.
Yeah, that was very much not a yes.
And over here, two nobles are casually gambling away more money in a single card game than a farmer would earn in his entire life due. The card debts got so intense that the crown sometimes quietly paid them off with, you guessed it, even more borrowed money.
Here's the real irony, though. The Queen actually hated all this suffocating ceremony, so she built herself a private little retreat in the grounds, a fake rustic village where she could dress as a shepherdette and pretend to be normal. While France starved, that did not land the way she hoped.
Because there is a nervousness under all the glitter. A servant girl pulled me aside near the kitchens. "Have you heard anything from Paris?" I asked. "Bread is gone. People are angry." "How angry?" "Angrier than they let on." And then she just went quiet and got back to work.
This is the part the palace refuses to talk about. Just outside these golden gates, France is genuinely falling apart. Harvests have failed, bread costs almost a full day's wages, and people can see exactly where their taxes are going. Right here, to the gold gates, the gold birds, the mirrors. So I slipped out past the grounds, and the difference is honestly brutal. In there, it is music and silk. Out here, it is mud, tired faces, and empty market stalls. I asked one man what people actually wanted.
To be heard.
That was all it was at the start.
Apparently, you do not just wander up to a queen dressed like a tourist, so this is my royal audience outfit, and honestly, I could get used to it. Back inside, I caught a glimpse of the king himself, Louis XVI, and he is genuinely not the villain you would picture. He was quiet, awkward, and far more interested in taking locks apart than in running a country that was coming apart. That is the real tragedy of him. He wasn't cruel, he just wasn't paying attention. And being asleep at the wheel of France in 1789 was every bit as fatal as being a tyrant.
Okay, big moment. The Queen. She is smaller than I expected, and so much kinder looking up close, with absolutely no idea that the country already hates her, for things she did and for things she never did. I get exactly one line, so I lean in.
"The world will change soon." "Yes."
And she just smiled and said,
"It always does."
and then she moved on, light as anything, like the floor beneath her wasn't already cracking. And I couldn't tell her. Storm the gates, the harvest, July, run. You cannot warn the past. You can only stand there and watch it happen. And it hits completely different now, walking back through all of it. The mirrors, the gold, the woman handed a single glove. None of it looks luxurious to me anymore. It just looks fragile. Like a sandcastle, with the tide already quietly coming in.
Okay, here are the facts, because what happens next is one of the most dramatic collapses in human history. The monarchy was completely broke, partly from funding wars and partly from all of this. So in May 1789, the Estates General met for the first time in 175 years.
And the numbers are genuinely staggering. The court ate up roughly a tenth of the entire national budget, while the people paying for it could barely afford bread. France had bankrolled a war across the ocean, and it was now drowning in a debt it could never hope to repay. In June, locked out of their hall, the commoners swore not to disband until France had a constitution. On the 14th of July, crowds stormed the Bastille, and the revolution was on. That October, thousands of women marched the full 12 miles from Paris to Versailles. They forced the royal family to leave, and they never lived here again. The king and queen later tried to flee the country in secret, were recognised and dragged back. Within 3 years, the monarchy was abolished, and in 1793, both Louis and Marie Antoinette were executed.
The most powerful palace in all of Europe sat emptied and completely stripped bare. The entire glittering world I just walked you through was basically gone inside a single decade. And the let them eat cake line? Still not real. She never said it. Please, let her rest on that one. Versailles itself was eventually saved, stripped of its treasures and turned into a museum. Today, millions of people walk through these exact same halls every single year. But the world that built it, the powdered hair, the levee, the gold birds, never came back. Oh, and full circle. I tried the high five thing one last time on my way out, on a guard. This time, stone cold. Nothing. 300 years and I still cannot get a single person in this country to leave me hanging less aggressively. Honestly, iconic of them. Never change, Versailles. So that was my full day in Versailles, days before everything changed forever. Beautiful, absurd, and completely doomed all at once. Subscribe. That is a royal decree, not a request. I have to get out before July. Bye, guys.